Right everyone, so I'm here to do the Nations SH Figuarts head swaps with the Star-Lord and Rocket Raccoon figures in the collection. So the two in the center in the blue spacesuit is from the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And I'm going to change them around with some of the previous ones, which is from the Avengers Infinity War line. So the reasons why we do these head swaps is obviously just for fun. Sometimes you want to switch up the same character but in a different look. Maybe he has a mask on, he doesn't have a mask on, or you want that aggressive face. And in particular for the latest Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 figures, they did not include any alternative head sculpts. So in the previous Infinity War one for Star-Lord, it included 2, and then for Rocket Raccoon, it included 3. So first things first, I want to say that the scale has slightly changed. So Nations have upscaled their characters. If you can see on the right, the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 version is a lot taller than the previous one. It towers over him. And I'm not too sure why they decided to make it bigger. Maybe they just thought their old figures were too small. I'm all for it because I do like chunkier characters in my figure collection. But I guess it just won't display well with the previous ones. So I guess this is like a new beginning as it is from Phase 5. And it's the same for Rocket Raccoon. You can see the new one from the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is a lot bigger than the previous Infinity War version from the head sculpt to the body. So let's first test out the Peter Quill head sculpt. So since the scale of the body is different, probably the head sculpt is not going to quite work. But you may want the extra new look of Peter Quill on his casual clothes, kind of how he looked in the Christmas special or just in early parts of the Guardians 3 movie. So obviously the new one, he has a lot more beard and his hair is more curly, whereas the previous one I guess has a younger and cleaner look. So first I'm going to punch in the new one onto the previous Infinity War version. So it actually doesn't fit in terms of the peg, it doesn't connect on, but it just sits on top, which is fine with me. If you use some blue tack, you can kind of get the display well. And looking at it, it can kind of seem a bit odd. Maybe the head sculpt is slightly too big. It really depends on the angle and how you display him. But it does give him that look that a lot of people do like from the Christmas special or just early parts of the movie. I guess this is the Peter Quill that a lot of people know him as. Infinity War version onto the spacesuit. I think it's too oversized. It makes him look even more muscular than he should be. So definitely it works on the Infinity War one in terms of the looks. But then if you put the old Infinity War one on the new one, obviously it doesn't. So the main thing we want to see is of course his Infinity War mask, which is placed on the spacesuit. It does give him that comic type of look, and some people might like this as a alternative for your display. And again, it doesn't sit on top, but I guess because it's got the mask on, his head actually looks bigger and it kind of scales well with this body. So I'm actually fine with this kind of head swap. And again, it doesn't connect well, but as a display, it can kind of work. And then we're going to try out Rocket Raccoon. So obviously his head sculpt is a lot bigger as well. And I do like the sculpt, by the way. It's just that it only included 1. So let's take it off and then bring in the Infinity War version. And let's put the Infinity War version onto the new Galaxy 3. And the peg is too big. It just sits on. And it's a bit wobbly as well. So it doesn't really fit. Again, you need to use blue tack. This one's just a normal look. But let's bring in the aggressive face here where he's got the gritted teeth, which some people do prefer. I actually do prefer it as well. But you can see that it doesn't sit on. And then the extra aggressive face, which I thought they should have included in the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 version. And you can see, again, you just need blue tack. But I do like this look of Rocket, especially when he's using his weapons. So the difference isn't as big as the Star-Lord one. I think this head sculpt kind of fits on the body. You can just say the spacesuit is slightly making his body a bit more chunky. So it doesn't quite fit, but let me put the new one, the big head sculpt, onto the Infinity War version. So obviously it's got like a big kind of space, so it just sits on top really well. And I guess you don't really need this head sculpt because they've already included the standard one. There is a gun in the Infinity War version, which I think doesn't quite scale up to this one either, but you could use it as they didn't include one. So in terms of the head swaps, obviously it doesn't work because the pegs are very different. But if you just kind of want a certain pose and just get a photo shot in, then I guess it kind of works. The Star-Lord one, the head swap is fine, but the Rocket one just doesn't fit. You know, it's either too big on the Infinity War one or too small on the Guardians one. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of the swap. There's not much to it. And of course, if you haven't already, check out my review of the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 2-pack. And thanks for watching.